10 dungeon animes like Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling was every bit as impressive as we thought it'd be, but now that it's over, I'm sure you guys would love some anime that are just like Solo Leveling. Yep, here in this video we're going to talk about 10 dungeon anime like Solo Leveling, and let me say, if you enjoyed Solo Leveling, you're going to enjoy the hell out of these animes too. Number 10, Sword Art Online. Starting with number 10, we have everyone's favorite Sword Art Online. Imagine you're one of the thousands of players who get to play the first ever virtual reality massive multiplayer online role-playing game, but you can't log out, and if you die in the game, you also die in real life. It's a mess, and if there is one player who still seeks to clear all 100 levels of the game in order to break free, then that's our boy Kirito. He is very similar to Sun Jin-woo in the sense that they are both like lone wolves, but they also stand out as pure badasses. And yes, Asuna, one of the S-tier waifus, is also in this anime. She's Kirito's love interest and is also pretty badass herself. Number 9, Tower of God. Moving on, we have Tower of God at number 9, and this anime takes you straight into the mysterious and vast universe that is centered around a colossal structure which is simply known as the Tower. If you love One Piece and its insane world building, you're guaranteed to also love and enjoy this one too. For the plot, the story begins with a boy named Bam who has spent most of his life outside the tower, but when his one and only friend enters the tower without him, he decides to go after her. Now, what's different about Bam and his friend is that they both weren't chosen by the tower. Yes, they decide to enter of their own free will. This makes them irregulars, and there's actually quite a lot of stigma against irregulars. Overall, the way Bam makes his way from one floor to another is similar to how Sun Jin-woo grows stronger one level at a time. Number 8, So I'm a Spider, So What? At number 8 we have So I'm a Spider, So What? And it is just as quirky as it sounds. Seriously, imagine waking up as a fantasy world protagonist, but you find out that you are a low-level spider monster in a dungeon full of all sorts of dangers. Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant at all, but that's exactly what happens to our girl. She was an ordinary high school girl who found herself in the body of a tiny spider in a vast and dangerous RPG-like fantasy world. Well then, how will she survive in this bizarre scenario? By the way, her classmates have also been isekai'd, but unlike her, they aren't stuck being a spider. Alright, moving on to number 7, we have a somewhat unique anime called Delicious in Dungeon. We're talking about exploring dungeons and enjoying gourmet food in the same show. The story starts with a group of adventurers led by Laios Torin. His sister got swallowed by a dragon, and so they have entered the dungeon once again, this time to save his sister. But because they do not have any supplies left, they have to find ways to survive without food. Well, it is what it is. The group starts cooking and eating the monsters they come across inside the dungeon. It's similar to Solo Leveling in the sense that you can do whatever it takes to survive inside a dungeon, but I'd say it's also similar to Food Wars in the sense that you can find ways to cook up delicious meals no matter what the ingredients. A fine dungeon isekai anime if you asked me. Number 6, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. At number 6, we have that time I got reincarnated as a slime. I'm sure everyone is already used to all the jokes and the memes surrounding this anime title, but as for the premise, it is really just as the title says. We have a 37-year-old salaryman from Tokyo who dies while trying to save his colleague and his colleague's girlfriend. However, he is then reborn as a slime, and although that may not sound all that strong to you, let me tell you that he also gets a skill called Predator. This allows him to analyze and replicate the skills of whatever he consumes, a truly frightening ability. Honestly, this show is a brilliant mix of humor, adventure, goofiness, and fantasy politics. If you want to see a society built from scratch, this is not the kind of show you should be missing on.
お前は眠っとけ。
一度くらいなら僕たちに勝てるものならね。よく言ったぜしろ。
Number 5, Log Horizon. Up next at number 5, we have Log Horizon. It's a similar to Sword Art Online in the sense that tens of thousands of players get trapped in a game and are unable to log out. But what makes it different is that it emphasizes the politics and strategies over pure action. Our protagonist, Shiroe, is an intellectual. He works with his companions and together they build communities, form guilds, and also deal with economics and politics of their new reality.
戦い方になれないと。でもどうすれば。全員目を狙え。
Number 4, Gate. Moving on to number 4, we have Gate. This one is actually a mixture of modern military drama and fantasy adventure. Our story kicks off when a gate suddenly appears in Tokyo. Chaos ensues as monsters emerge and wreak havoc in the city. Of course, the Japanese self-defense force are quickly to enter the chat, but even after the situation clears up, the gate still doesn't disappear. It's still there. Well, in order to do something about it, a member of the force leads a team to explore the world beyond the gates. His name is Yoji Itami, and although he is a soldier, he is also an otaku. And for better or for worse, he gets himself a harem of fantasy girls.
Goblin か。それじゃあ戦闘がどんなもんか試してみるか。
Number 3, Shangri-La Frontier. At number 3, we have a relatively new anime called Shangri-La Frontier. It follows a high school student named Rokuro Hizutome, who is somewhat of a game connoisseur. Seriously though, he is so deep in the rabbit hole that he has started playing trashy games just for the fun of it. But what do you think would happen when someone who has only been playing trashy games for a considerable time finally decides to play an actually genuinely good game? Yep, that's the story. One day, after he is recommended a game called Shangri-La Frontier, our boy takes the plunge. Finally, after all this time, he is going to play a good game. I'd say this is amongst my favorite animes of 2024. It's also pretty similar to Solo Leveling in the sense that, just like Sun Jin-woo, our boy also exploits the system.
そう簡単に食えると思うなよ。クソぶちまけたツケは払ってもらう。やるんだ。やるんだ。やるんだ。やるんだ。そこにたどり着きたいのだ。
Number 2, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Now let me ask you a question. Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Well, the societal and moral implications aside, this is the anime we have at number 2. It's a delightful fantasy adventure story that revolves around an amateur adventurer called Bel Cranel. He is a silly guy who seeks to explore dungeons, gather treasures, but also to meet and woo the girls of his dreams. Pretty neat if you ask me. Now, just like Sun Jin-woo, Ben Cranel starts off weak but gradually gets stronger as he makes his way through the plot.
僕、強くなりたいです。撃て。
そうだね。ヒンメルならそう言う。
Number 1. Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Alright, at number 1 we have Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. It's a modern day masterpiece that flips the common fantasy anime tropes on their head and delivers a beautifully introspective anime that delves into the themes of morality, memory, and the passage of time. You see, when it comes to Frieren, the story begins after the Demon King is defeated. There really isn't much I can say about this anime except that as long as you consider yourself an anime enjoyer, then this is the one anime that you should absolutely not miss out on. And there you have it, guys. These were the top 10 animes like Solo Leveling. I'm sure there are many other animes that could have been on this list, so if you have any in mind, definitely share them with everyone in the comment section down below. As always, a like and subscribe will be most welcome, and if you're feeling particularly giddy about these anime recommendations, that super thanks button is always ready to be pressed by you at any moment now. Yep, any and all support is genuinely appreciated, and with that said, I'll see you guys on my next video.